Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another edition of What's Happening Now with C9 Solutions. As always, remember to like, share, and comment on this broadcast live, as there could be some information not only useful to yourself, but perhaps to someone else, that friend or family who can use it. So, a couple things with C9 Solutions. I had a wonderful time with the Huntsville, Madison County Rotary Club last night. Got a chance to speak with them. A lot of great people up there. A lot of great information was given out. A lot of great things that the Rotary Club is doing in your community. I highly suggest, if you're not familiar with your local Rotary Club, look them up. They do a lot of great things in the community and supporting the community. We do plan on having one of their presidents here, the local presidents here in the Madison County area, to come down here to C9 Solutions so they can talk about the Rotary Club. So we got a couple guests here in the studio tonight, and we got someone via live satellite all the way from Washington State. So here with me, beside me, we have Mr. Cameron Turner. How you doing, sir?
Doing well. Thanks for having me today.
Outstanding. And then via satellite, we have Miss Samantha Krantz from Washington State. Ma'am, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good. So, as always, when we talking about entrepreneurship, we talk about mental health. There's a lot of things that's involved with that. And a lot of times we take that for granted, and being in this business and doing this for a few years, I've noticed there's always stressors when it comes to those who's trying to start a business or get their business going, and they find that they don't get the support or the backing that they truly need from family and friends, alike. And I know, Samantha, you've been in the business world for some years now, and I think since 2014, 15. You've been an entrepreneur in the business world, both domestic and internationally. So there's a lot we want to untackle with you in that regards. But I first want to start with talking with Mr. Cam here. Cameron, from a male's perspective, tell us and tell the viewers, how important is it to have the support you need when you're trying to get a business started?
Yeah, support is very important. Not necessarily just in life, but also, like you stated, in business, because when you're creating a business, when you have a current working business, and when you're trying to scale a business, you always need someone there to be there by your side, whether it's somebody working with you or just your family and friends supporting you and giving you that encouragement. Because with entrepreneurship comes ups and downs. And so you always want somebody to be there for you on both ends and meet you in the middle to make sure that you continue to grow, continue to thrive, and continue to have someone you can feel in ups and downs and good and bad.
Yeah, and I can't agree with you more on that. Samantha, from your standpoint and being a female entrepreneur and a businesswoman who has been doing it for some years, what are some of the things that you have encountered and that you have had to deal with in getting your business going and trying to make it sustainable?
How to make my business sustainable overseas?
Right.
I run into a lot of issues with different laws, different structures, funding, participation from family and friends. I mean, working overseas is difficult. Working overseas is difficult. You feel isolated, you feel lonely. Mental health is very important overseas. You have culture shocks. And one of the main things I realize is sometimes you get stuck overseas doing businesses and you kind of lose yourself. So taking that time away from overseas and getting back to reality with family and friends is very important. So work-life balance.
Yeah. I can imagine, when I look at the two of you all and looking into that entrepreneur realm, starting a business overseas is drastically different than starting a business here, in the United States, where you got so much support and you got so many resources available. Are there those type of resources available for you when you're trying to start a business overseas like that? Or you're pretty much on your own and you're going to actually dig deep and do it on your own?
From my standpoint, working in Honduras, it feels like it's alone. It feels like you're recreating the wheel. I'm sure a lot of people have already done it before me, but there's not any structure right now. And so what I'm trying to do currently is build that structure, build that guideline for the next entrepreneur behind me. I think this is an industry that a lot of people are going to get into because is a lot of people looking at becoming expats right now, going overseas. They're prioritizing their mental health. People don't want to work till they die, long hours, not being able to afford rent. And there's just a lot of opportunities overseas that gives you a lifestyle that is relaxing, but yet you can still pursue your business objectives. So my goal is to work overseas and do more of business consulting, and really setting up a structure for individuals who want to come over and may not have that support. But you can find it on Facebook groups. There's websites, but it's not where it needs to be.
Right, right. I definitely can understand that, and there are a lot of struggles, especially when you're working overseas and then building a business overseas as well. Cam, you're no stranger to C9 Solutions, and you have been, I should say, a beacon of hope for our male entrepreneurs. And I say that, ladies and gentlemen, because if anyone knows C9 Solutions and you know our demographics and you know what we go through, 95% of all of our students are normally females. What is that like for you, being one of the few males in the class as you're going through that course? What do you think about your other fellow male counterparts? Like, why isn't there more of us in here?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it just comes to resources. It comes down to knowledge. So women, African-American women right now in America are the top in regards to education and entrepreneurship, and do extremely well at it. So a lot of us male counterparts, I feel like, are so focused on taking care of home or taking care of certain businesses that that's not necessarily a business, but in regards to taking care of the family, our regular jobs and things of that nature. So we really don't know about entrepreneurship, while some of our counterparts and women are out here doing amazing things. So I think the first part is just the resources. How do we get to know about how to start a business? Who's going to be able to help us? Like we just talked about, some of the support systems that we have out there. And then also, once we start these things, how do we keep moving forward? Which is also why C9 Solutions is very important. I wouldn't actually have been in the program if it wasn't for a woman, one of our counterparts who I actually worked with, who reached out to me. So it's all about, in my opinion, I think it's a lot of men that want to start businesses. However, I think it's just a fear of taken away from our regular jobs, and what can we do to make sure that we stay focused on supporting our families. But I think once we have those resources available and people to talk to, I think we can also piggyback on some of our great women that's out there and do some great things in our community.
Outstanding. Last night, when I was speaking to the club, and I met a really, really great gentleman, and he said something to me when I talked to him about why the demographics is so high. And he said something, and I want to get your opinion on this, Samantha. He said to me, the reason why there's more women that are committed to the classes that you are holding is because men are quitters and women are more committed. How do you think about that? What are your thoughts on that statement?
I don't necessarily agree. I don't feel like men are quitters. I guess when we were kind of talking about it, I just didn't understand how you had every class, it would be 10, 20 women and one male show up. I didn't understand, because every man I talk to has an idea, has a business idea, wants to go. So I really would like to know how to draw those people in to take your course, because I think I went to business school in Washington State, at University of Washington, and what you teach is by far more information that I learned in a business degree. So your information and your curriculum is very vital to any business, because a lot of people want to start business, but you have the idea, you have the, I want to do this, but running a business, you need the business academia behind it. And people fail businesses all the time because they don't know about the financing, the marketing, social media, and especially when you're older. But it really intrigued me on why there were so many females attending and not males, because everybody I talked to has an idea, wants to start a business. And I find your class really informative and necessary to thrive. And so, no, I don't agree that men just quit. Women quit too. It's how do we market your class and drive people in to really see the value that you provide, because it is valuable.
And I appreciate that. So I asked both of you all this then, and to any viewer who might be viewing, please drop it in the comment what you may think on this particular question. What would it take then to get more male entrepreneurs into an environment like this, so it's designed to help them and to help them achieve? What is your thoughts, Cam?
I think that, especially for myself, since I've been through the program and just verify it's an excellent program to go through. I think just reaching back and helping somebody else. I think the thing for tonight is really just support as well. And so now that I have the knowledge, now that I have the resources, and now that I know who to reach out to, then I know I can bring some people up along with me. And I think that because there's so few amount of men that are in entrepreneurship, that it's hard for them to bring their friends, their relatives, and people that they know along with them to create these opportunities.
Right. And with that, Samantha, to try to piggyback off what Cam said, there are a few men that we're seeing out in the community or doing entrepreneurship than there are women, because there's a lot of women entrepreneurs. I go through some of the shopping centers. If they don't have a beauty salon, they have a shoe store, they have a clothing store. They have a lot of that going on, versus the males having a shoe store or the males having a clothing store. So do you think that a lot of the males feel that they might be, they're already defeated before they get started to try to get the business going? Or do you feel that women have that drive, going back to that again, that stronger drive to actually commit and to get that business up and running?
Well, I can't speak for the males, but I feel like women now in 2024, we find it attainable. It's not a dream. I could put a vision out there, but I know that I can make steps to make that vision into reality. I definitely can't speak for the men, but most females that I know are looking at a way in becoming their own boss, whether it's I drew blood as a CNA and now I want to start my own blood drawing band and go make my own contracts. It's the more independent entrepreneur mindset, because that's where the big money is. The money, you're not going to make hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars working $20 an hour for anybody. You can put as many hours as you want into that job. Entrepreneurship is where it's at. And I think Black women especially really get that concept and know that they have to go out there and get those contracts and be that boss. And they know it is doing a disservice to apply for the $12 an hour job. There's nothing wrong with that, but have a plan to do your business, and if I have to work the $12 an hour job until my side hustle or my real dream comes to fruition, then they're willing to make that sacrifice. But there is tons of funding out there. There's tons of programs that are really trying to invest, I think, the most ever now into minority businesses, veteran businesses, women businesses. People are getting incentives to have contracts with us. So now more people are reaching out trying to do contracts with minority groups. So I think we just need to focus and take advantage of those opportunities and really open the eyes for our community to really get into entrepreneurship and contracting and owning our own businesses.
And I want to touch on that, and we're going to answer a few questions here. We got one of the questions here says, Samantha, who inspired you to become a business owner? Good question.
Oh, I'd say my mom. My mom was in the military for 22 years, and she applied within the military to be a nurse. She's a Black woman, and they did not allow her. She only can have her admin job, and she worked admin for 22 years and went to night school at night. And I just remember like long nights of my mom studying and trying to, get her degrees. And unfortunately, the military didn't help her at that time. The military is more helpful now with all demographics, but back then, as a Black woman, they weren't trying to see you as a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer. They weren't really investing money into minority groups. So with her, I mean, she just opened the window for me as far as mentally, knowing that we can do more. We can be the boss. We can sit at the head of the table. And also me applying for tons of jobs that I was not getting accepted to. And I think we're at a older time where we're still, everybody says racism doesn't exist, these barriers don't exist, but every time us as minorities have to do something, we have to put down Black for jobs, Black for home applications. We're always putting ourselves out there to receive maybe not great feedback or those decisions. And I was just tired of applying to everybody else, and I wanted to do my own thing. And I worked with Mr. Fry overseas, and I think working overseas, you have a very different perspective of the world, and you get to see these different environments. And for me, just light bulbs went off, and I really, really love working overseas and starting businesses overseas.
All right, good deal. We got another question here. It says, Mr. Cam, what are some of your disadvantages of being a male in business?
Oh, that's a great question. And I just want to make this a general answer as well, not just for me, but kind of piggybacking on some of the things we kind of discussed earlier as well. I think that the time commitment, it can be something that can propel you in your business, but it can also be a disadvantage as well, right. Which is why I think some of the men have a hard time staying in entrepreneurship or wanting to create a business, because they may feel like they have certain pressures or certain obligations at home that they may have to do. And so that time they have to spend on those obligations for their family, it takes less time away. You have less time to deal with the business that you have. But then also something that I noticed are some of the grants as well. Some of the grants are predominantly more so for women in some circumstances. So it's kind of hard to kind of fund or start your business as well if some of those grants are predominantly for women. But other than that, I think some of the disadvantages are just what you put into it. A lot of times, like we kind of discussed earlier, it's a time commitment, it's consistency, right. It's determination, and you just having a good plan and strategy of marketing and things of that nature. So if you do some of those things wrong or off, then that's going to be a big disadvantage for you that may lead you going backwards instead of forward.
I can't agree with you more on that. There are a lot of opportunities for minority women when it comes to grants like that versus the male. Samantha, and going what he was saying, do you find any difficulties, in your business and starting your business that you run across as being a female? Is there any roadblocks that you come across?
I think more so like mentorship, when there's not a lot of women above you or ahead of you to guide you. It can get into like a boys club, and people will help you, but within your own groups, you tend to thrive. You tend to build your, tribe per se. You get less connections as a woman. All these industries are male dominated: aviation, the railroad, government contracts. Everywhere you look, the boards are males. They don't invite you to the golf trips, and that's where you form bonds and relationships and get that extra help, I would say. Less funding. When you apply for grants and stuff, I do see more Black woman grants and partnerships out there, but it's still hard. And especially when you work overseas, a lot of people don't want to send their money overseas. There's stipulations to that too. Working overseas, it's people always want to be able to recoup their money or, take you to court and sue if you need to. And it's harder if you work overseas. There's more legal stressors and financial stressors. So, I think there's barriers. And also women tend to have more, community-based objectives, doing things for the community, bringing communities together. And a lot of male industries that I work with, it's about the numbers, bottom line dollars. And I think at women, we tend to see the bigger picture. If you have great people all together and everybody's happy, then, profit will come. But as you can see in the States, a lot of these Fortune 500 companies, they'll work their people to the bone. They don't care about mental health. They don't care about
Right.
work-life balance. And I think that's a positive to have women in those areas, because I feel like we incorporate more of, if my workers are good, we're all good, mentality. So
I'm going to go to this question, but I'm going to come back to something that I experienced, and I want to get both of you guys' opinion on it. But we got a question here, and it says, Mr. Fry, what inspired you to become a business owner, and why do you enjoy helping others to get their business up and running? What are some of your disadvantages? Ooh, good question, good question. So to the viewer, I tell you what, one of the things that inspired me to do what I do, especially from the CNI solution standpoint, is I believe in giving back. I want to help the community. I want to see the community strive. And a lot of times, the people in our community don't have the way to get to where they need to get to. They don't know the resources that are available to them. So one of the things that I try to do is I try to make these resources available to them so that they have that opportunity. A lot of times I think about throughout my career, I always used to say, if somebody would have just told me this when I was this age, or if someone would have just showed me that, that would have helped me get that much further along in life, as opposed to trying to figure things out when I'm a full-blown grown adult past the age of 40. So that's one of the big reasons why I do what I do with CNI Solutions, and trying to help the community and trying to help those who need help. So there's no excuse, because we want to take away those excuses. I want to eliminate the excuse for someone saying, no one's never showed me this. I was never told that. And that's the whole point of CNI Solutions, is so we're there to tell you, we are there to show you. Okay. So Ms. Krantz, going back to what you're saying in regards to business, how stressful, and both of you all, how stressful is it mentally as an entrepreneur starting a business, and you're running into roadblock after roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, which in any case will make anybody say, you know what, let me just go back and work a 9 to 5. I can't do this. No one's let me in. I'm not getting a seat at the table, as you mentioned. How do you persevere and go through that? And I'll start with you, Samantha.
Okay. Oh, okay. It's hard. Rejection is hard for anybody. No's is hard for anybody. I think with me, it's better when I organize my thoughts and you just take it as a process. You'll do your first step, and if it's a no, okay, let's critically think, how do you problem solve this? If this is a no and I'm trying to get to A, B, C, D, how do I get to D and I already got a no at A? So you can either take the no's and go back to work, or you can take the no's and try to critically think and try to come up with different ways on how to get to D, and I find it challenging, but it comes with any business,
Okay, all right, I'll take that. Cam, what about you? How do you persevere and keep going after getting a door closed on you, or like you said, searching for grants? Oh, it's for women. Oh, this is for minority women. Oh, this is for Latinos, and nothing is coming towards you. How do you continue to persevere, to keep going, so that you can make your dreams come true?
So that's very deflating. Once those things occur, it makes you feel like, oh man, it's another roadblock. However, for me, the first thing I do is I make sure that my mentality is I will overcome and I will get something. So I try to stay positive first and foremost. The other thing is make sure that I have people around me that I can push ideas off of, so that they can help me as well think of something in a different way, just in case I'm looking at something in a narrow aspect instead of a wider lens. Right. And then also just having people around me that's saying, keep going. That little bit of keep going, or I see what you're doing, or just stay focused and it'll all work out. That goes a long way, because it just puts belief in you. So that's one thing. Then also is just staying on path. Whatever path you have, whatever strategy you have, you may have to go left, right, up, down, side, underneath, above, jump, and crawl, but eventually you'll get to where you need to get to. Right. And then somebody beside me once said, stay consistent. So Mr. Fryer always told me, be consistent, stay doing what you're doing. And once you do that, something is bound to break for you.
Yeah. And that's true. You got to stay, and like we always say, stay focused on your intentions and not your distractions, right? Because we all got distractions in our life. You know, rather it be our car's not working, rather it be at the job, they're not want to give you as many hours as you had, or kids. You know, a lot of things can distract us from staying on track with our intentions when it comes to our business. And with that, there comes the mental aspect of it, right? There's always that mental breakdown. I've had a person come to me the other day and said, I done took all I can take, Charles. I can't take no more like this. And one of the first things I said to them, I says, well, now's the time when you reach out for help. Now's the time when you go to talk to somebody who can hear your problems, hear what you're going through, and understand what you're going through mentally to help you get through this. And what I have found is our people don't want that help. What do you say to something like that, Samantha? What do you say when you come across an individual that you know needs that expert, that somebody who knows how to deal with them mentally, and they're saying, nah, I'm good, I'm okay? How do you address something like that?
Oh man. You gotta step away sometimes and just like take a break. You know, I mean, when you're in it and you're getting the no's, you're getting everything's failing, like you feel like the world is ending at times,
Right.
and you get like consumed with it. You definitely need to step away. You know, there's some people who get so consumed and they come to work with a smile still, and they're the main ones you need to worry about, because you know sometimes those I guess seeing when somebody's in mental distress, we always think it's somebody that's always going to be crying or, you know, shutting it down. It's not always those people. Some people who I personally know that show up to work or show up to a situation and they're feeling it, but they don't want to get out of it. They come with a smile to work, and the next thing you know, we're going to a funeral. Like, you got to be aware of all the aspects of it, you know, especially when drugs or alcohol is involved. But yeah, sometimes you have to make people step away. It can feel like the end of the world, but seeking help, therapy should not be a negative word anymore. We're in 2024, like therapy, asking for mental, you know, help. There's so many advocates out there for mental health. There's a lot of free organizations, and with YouTube and Facebook and all these social medias. I mean, even if you feel embarrassed and you just want to do your own, not therapy, don't do your own therapy, but if you want to take time to like just reflect on life, there's so many apps. There's a Calm app. There's all kind of ways to do self-care, and it's very, very, very important, because let me tell you, stress will kill you. Stress will give you cancer. Stress will get you sick. And if you're not well mentally, physically, emotionally, everything you're working towards will just be a waste. So
right. And I agree with that, you know, and I'm glad you talked about that, because a couple of our segments we got coming up here in the future, we're going to have a couple of doctors who deal with mental health, psychologists on the show to talk a little bit about that, because especially as we're getting into the holiday season, and that's when a lot of that stuff really, really starts to ramp up. You know, when you start getting into the holiday season, friends and family, some people feel left out. People who's working overseas who can't get home to friends and family, those who are isolated at schools and stuff, that's when that stuff really starts to ramp up. So we're going to have some professionals on here to talk a little bit about that, because it is important that we do get that across to our community and to our people. And it should not have the fear of shame to talk to somebody. I encourage everyone to talk to someone. Talk to someone. You know, don't try to rough it by yourself. Don't try to do it by yourself. There's someone out there who you can talk to and who can refer you to a professional to help you through that. Even in the world of business, you know, I think a lot of people have the misconception, if you're a business owner, you have to stand on business. You have to stand your ground, and you're not supposed to go see a therapist or talk to anybody. But the truth of the matter is, a lot of the things that you're dealing with in business can be really, really detrimental to your health if you're not careful and taking care of that stress the correct way. So we got a couple statements here. I got something here. We got Miss L. She's saying, yes, speak the truth. Thank you for that one. Then we got another one. She's saying, seasonal and situational blues. Yes, that is correct on that. That is correct. And that is very, very a real thing. And we need to make sure we are doing that. So, hey, I tell y'all, ladies and gentlemen, what I appreciate you guys for coming in this evening and talking with us and spending some time with us to talk about this. Miss Samantha, is there anything that you have before we go ahead and close the night, ma'am?
No, when you're talking about mental health, I just want to say, if you're working for an organization, a lot of organizations and companies have EAP programs, employee assistant programs, and a lot of them cover counseling and support services. So look into whatever company you work for and see if they have an EAP program. Majority of companies have them now, and they know how important mental health is with their employees. So look for EAPs.
All right, all right. And Mr. Cam, how about yourself, sir? Anything you would like to add and say to the viewers before we close?
Yeah, I just want to thank you for having me today. And then also, just like we were saying, don't put it all on yourself. To make sure you reach out for someone, get some help. Also, you can't service people that you want to do for your business if you can't service yourself internally. We want to make sure we're healthy mentally and physically and spiritually. So make sure you go get the help that you need to be able to help others.
Hey, outstanding, outstanding. Hey, I do appreciate our guests for coming in tonight, Ms. Samantha Krantz, all the way from Washington State, and Mr. Cam here, a Huntsville native of his own here in Huntsville, Alabama. Always remember, ladies and gentlemen, your yesterday is not your today, and your today is not your tomorrow. Good night.